good afternoon, good night, and good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Ty and Cody on Purpose show right here on RATV. So glad to be with you. I am Ty.
I'm Cody.
Yes. We are excited to be back on RATV and excited that you all are sharing in this building of an experience. Yeah, what she called an experience. I'm not going to say building of experience. It is an experience that you all are a part of this experience with us, because this is all fun. This is all interesting. This is all uncut, unfiltered, and unedited. Well, technically is edited a little bit, but yeah, it's all unfiltered, unedited, and all that good stuff. And y'all know how we do. If you have not been with us by now, we have changed up the format. We were on a radio and doing a radio station for 4 years, and we decided to do something completely new, and we are welcoming you all back into a more visual way of the Ty and Cody on Purpose show. Yeah, that's what we're doing, and we've changed the format. Did we ever figure out where we're going? Did you remember because you said you were going to remember. You didn't remember, did you?
What we're going to call it?
Yes. The game and all that stuff.
No, I don't remember.
You said you was going to remember. Told you she wasn't going to remember. So, we got a whole new experience, because I don't like calling it a game. She likes calling it a game, but we got a whole new experience where we actually draw some cards that are conversational pieces, and we actually talk about what's going on in those cards and how those cards apply to us and what our thoughts are on the cards. We have not seen these cards. This all started on a date we did almost a year and a half, 2 years ago. We actually purchased these cards, took them on a date, and literally sat across from one another at dinner one day and decided to go through a few of these cards. And then we decided to bring it live to you all, because it would be pretty interesting for you all to see exactly how we do things in our household. And again, we do a lot of things on purpose. So we live by the motto, live purposefully, love purposefully. Mm-hmm. So we try to do everything on purpose. So you'll see the purposeful answers behind the questions and so forth that are on these cards. Then after that, you sit close and we got interviews and all type of skits and good stuff that are coming to you as well. So just stay tuned, because we're about to get into another episode of Ty and Cody on Purpose, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So who's pulling first?
Do you want me to pull first? You usually pull first, or do you want to continue with tradition and you pull first?
No, you can pull this time. As long as you haven't rigged the cards. I
can't make no promises.
I know.
But if you want to shuffle the cards?
No, go ahead.
Because I don't rig the cards. I randomly, it's like you got me, what was it, a week or two ago? And I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that type of question. But these, we'll...
I think next week we'll pull each other's card.
You want to pull my card?
Read. No, I'm not going to change the rules right now.
Okay. So...
But just be prepared for next week.
Hey, I tell you, we can shuffle the cards for the people, so that way they know that we're not rigging this to...
No, they know.
Okay, just want to make sure. Well, do you know?
Well,
Really?
Just read.
Exactly. See, and this is a question that
he rigged.
No, that I wouldn't ask her this, because I already know the answer. Would you ever choose porn over me? Why or why not? See, I wouldn't ask this question because I know the answer already.
So what's my answer?
No, you tell me what your answer is.
You said
and I'll tell you whether or not you're already wrong. I personally think you would never choose porn over me.
You're correct.
Exactly. So, would you choose porn over me? Why or why not?
I would not, because one, I don't know what the fascination is for some people to indulge in porn. I have always been a believer that if you open Pandora's box, it can lead to things that I may not be prepared for. And more so on an energy, spiritual level.
Okay.
And I would never want something, or someone for that matter, to try to replace you. I just think that, that energy can go into us being more creative and creating a more adventurous sexual experience than having to, go outside of the two of us.
Okay. pretty interesting. And it's interesting because I see it that way, but then I've heard other people say other. You know, it's not that they... Okay, so I've heard it, one, being a male. So, you know, the stigma or the thing is, you know, all men watch porn, which is not necessarily true. But I've heard people say that porn has helped their sex life. But I've also heard people say that porn has hurt their sex life because of some of the things that you mentioned. They're watching things, and then all of a sudden they're expecting their spouse to do the same. But I've also heard that people say, you know, they prefer to watch porn with their spouse together or with their spouse rather than them watching it by themselves. So that way it gives them some spice or spices things up in their relationship or sexually anyway together rather than him watching it by himself or her watching it by herself. Because believe it or not, and I don't know the facts and I should have Googled this, but there are a lot of women who watch porn versus a lot of men. There are a lot of men who watch porn, but there are a lot of women who watch porn versus a lot of men. So, you know, people want to, you know, spice up their sex life. So some people say, hey, I'd rather watch...
There's an app for that.
There's an app, there's a book, it's called the Kama. So what's the difference between porn and Kama Sutra then? Because Kama Sutra is the act or the different positions of sexual intimacy.
I take that as more of being a guide of what you can experiment with versus watching, you know, actors, if you will, either performing. I don't know if it's real or if it's fake. That's beyond me. But I don't know. I think one is more tutorial and one is more for entertainment.
So could porn not be used as a tutorial per se? Because that's what, I mean, don't get me wrong, because I'm going to address what you said as well in a second. But could porn not be used as a tutorial per se for a couple who would rather watch it together than off on their own?
In my opinion, I don't think so. I think it can lead to your point earlier, this notion of the word competition comes to my mind, and I don't know why.
Okay.
It could be you get into this competitive rhythm where you're trying to either mimic or outdo what you've seen. Well, when it comes to Kama Sutra or books for that matter, or whatever other example you use, I wouldn't necessarily think that that's a competitive component. It's more of a guide, if you will. Try this, try that.
Okay.
And I think, in my personal opinion, porn has, what's the word I'm looking for? Altered something that is very sacred and something that is very beautiful between a husband and a wife, and, you know, has just taken it out of its context. But that's...
Gotcha. Because porn is one of those topics or one of those words that's like taboo. Like you're not really supposed to talk about it in public. You're not supposed to talk about it here. You're not supposed to talk about it there. But it is a major part of our culture and our society, and it's the world's oldest profession, supposedly.
Oldest profession.
That's what I Google it. I promise you, it's
everything.
No, I'm not saying everything on Google you, but yeah, it's actually like supposedly. That's why I say it's supposedly the world's oldest profession of, you know, of not porn, but of prostitution. Activities.
To your point of, you know, you're not supposed to talk about it. Something that is supposed to be, or something that is beautiful in nature and is natural. If it was not what am I trying to say? If it wasn't taboo, then why is it such a secret?
I honestly don't know. I honestly feel like it should be talked about because it hurts a lot of people's relationships. It helps people's relationships, but I don't know personally, but I think it hurts more people's relationships than it personally helps because people are shy away from it. People don't have the full conversation. There are people who are addicted to it. There are people who, you know, and I think the more you have these conversations, not to necessarily normalize it, but so to make it not such a behind closed doors topic that people will, you know, get to the point where they can say, you know, I deal with this issue that I need to have rectified, or I deal with this issue that, you know, I need to overcome. So it's not something, or I don't, because people sneak around. That's the thing. When people watch porn, when you think about kids, for instance, you know, kids are the ones who, you know, what, not necessarily kids are the ones, but
not kids.
no, but there are kids who, you know, sneak and watch porn. And I, you know, it's just funny story, and I'll probably get shot in the foot for this for later. But like growing up, my sister, my cousins, and we would go to our grandparents' house, right? And everybody's had to do this at some point in time. But we would go to our grandparents' house, and so our grandparents would be outside playing cards, or downstairs playing cards, and we would, like, you know how the TV be all scrambled, and you be trying to turn your head and watch. You be like, ooh, was that a nipple I seen? Ooh, yeah, you've never done that before. I know I'm not the only one. I know my family's not the only one who's gone. Oh, because you had the scrambled channels because they didn't actually have the Playboy channel,
there was
or
like premium channels that had to be paid for. We ain't have money like that.
Neither did we. Obviously, how we was turning our head trying to watch it through the scramble of the.
Scramble, but anyway.
Yeah, you have to. I have to show you. But anyhow, so before we go on for the next question, so you mentioned Pandora's box. Give me a little bit more about opening. Why do you believe that's opening Pandora's box?
Because sex, in my mind, or in my opinion, is very sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very sacred. It's liberating in its sacredness.
Okay.
Meaning between me and my spouse. Bringing in someone else or others brings in additional spirits, additional energies that is not meant to partake in what was designed for just you and I.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so, therefore, if you open up that box, you're then bringing in
you said it, energies and so forth that, you know, that may or may not belong in a relationship. What works for others may not work for some, and what works for some may not work for others, or however that phrase or whatever goes. So I definitely get it when it comes to porn. I'm sure glad that you choose me over porn, because my feelings would have been hurt had you not chosen me over porn.
No,
but yes, it would have, because I would always prefer to be chosen over somebody else or something else, especially a movie or a TV show or some actors or actresses or whatever, and especially in that realm. Oh yeah, personally, I would have always liked to be chosen over porn. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I mean, I completely get what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. Porn is, like I said, it's a very touchy and sensitive topic and subject. But again, I try to look at things on both ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. Of course, growing up, we were always taught in church and things like that. Oh, porn is bad, things like that. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from. Personally, I could be wrong, but personally, I believe that's where a lot of it comes from, and even in the scaring away of people of it. But I believe also, like you mentioned, that it can come in and ruin a lot of relationships by you trying to live up to an expectation that's unrealistic per se. Right. In your own relationship. You know, I think you should push each other. Do I think you should continue to find new ways to spice things up in your life, in your sexual, you know, relationship, and intimately, you know, so forth? Then yeah, because eventually, especially if you're supposed to be together for till death do you part, sometimes you get bored. Sometimes you want to try new things, and you know, it's like, well, what do you do? Where do I go to? But like you said, there is the Kama Sutra. There are, you know, people who you can talk to. There are all of those things that you don't necessarily have to go to for porn. So again, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Gotcha.
Cool beans. And again, I'm glad you chosen me.
For now. No, I'm just kidding.
She's not kidding.
Whatever. What is a total turn off for you in our habits?
A total turn off for me in our habits? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. I had to think about it for a second, because I'm like, like, you know me, I'm like, I'm always touchy-feely, and I'm, you know, smack on the booty, give you a hug, give you kisses even when you don't want them. But I will say probably I will say a total turn off for me in our habits or our relationship. And I wouldn't call it a habit though. But I would say, when we disagree or when we argue or when, when there's tension amongst the two of us, when there's tension amongst the two of us, I would probably say, oh, that just made me think of another one. I'm sorry. I just thought
There's a laundry list.
It's
Please
not a
do
laundry
share.
list. It's not a laundry list, but it's actually something that you do, and you know that you do it because I say that you do it. There are times where
It's at our habits, but continue.
right. So this is our habits. So there are times where, in my opinion, everything is perfectly fine. We could be sitting watching TV. We could be playing. We could be whatever the case may be. And then literally all of a sudden, I say something to her or I do something or whatever the case may be. And you flip. And I'm like, wait a minute. What the hell just happened? Like, I thought we was cool. I thought everything was going. And then it turns into like me, like trying to figure out what is going on. And that's why I say it's our habits, because then I, become confused and then I kind of catch an attitude sometimes. And because I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like, I thought why'd you just snap on me? Or why?
Example?
I can't think of an example per se, but I know that they happen, that it happens, so between the two of those things, and I guess they're sort of kind of intertwined and related, but, whether it's us not, being on the same page and having a disagreement or argument, or the times where, like I said, but again, it's the same thing. Times where I say, where I think we're cool and we're having fun and all the other stuff, and all of a sudden it's just not, and I'm like, wait, what happened? And then we're back to the argument or disagreeing and not being on the same page. That to me is probably it's probably the biggest turnoff in our habits or our relationship that makes me go, okay, I'm not even interested anymore. Like, yeah. Because me, for those who know me, I'm always interested. Just gonna leave it at that.
But what man isn't?
Well, there's a lot of women who are not, so whatever. But there's a lot of men who aren't either. But of course, why would you not want to be attracted and be, playful and loving and intimate and caring with your spouse?
Oh, sure.
So yeah, why? I mean, that always confuses me.
Sometimes it could, it's for me though. It's probably the latter scenario you gave. It probably happens when it's like extremely late. It's been a long day, and I am just like, don't want to play anymore.
Sometimes.
And then you just take it too far, and then I'm just like, okay, dude.
Sometimes. Because it can be sometimes me just simply asking a question. We watching TV, and it's just like, well, I was just asking a question. Why'd you just snap? We were just watching TV.
But it could have been how you asked the question, too.
Okay, that's true, too.
Because we do have that challenge at times.
Yes, that is. And, at this point in time, I'm like, you know what? You just got to suck it up because I'm going to ask the question. No, I'm joking. Because communication is a very big part of, turn-ons and turn-offs as well. But, yeah. I would say that would be the turn-off for me. The not being on the same page. Sometimes, not sometimes, the disagreeing and that's just a turnoff for me. Like, and it's not a turnoff in the sense of.
But you're gonna disagree.
Yes, but that's what I'll say. It's not a turnoff in the sense of, and maybe let me define turnoff for me. Maybe you can explain to me what your belief of turnoff is. But for me, turnoff is I just kind of am not feeling it right now. Like, it's not that I'm not feeling the marriage or not feeling you in the sense of I don't want to be with you. It's just so last week we talked about love language. I think that was one of the questions, right? So for those who don't know, one of my love languages is quality. Well, both of my love languages play into this: quality time and physical touch. So I always like to be touched and to touch, and I always like spending quality time. So all the time. Yeah, so I always like spending quality time with you, and I always like to be touched, or I like to touch. So if it's a turnoff to me, then at those times I kind of go, okay, now I don't maybe feel like being touched.
Time out. That is not true, because you have told me time and time again, babe, even when I'm upset or we have a disagreement, if you just come up to me and give me a hug, that just breaks the ice for me.
It does.
So
it
which
does.
is it?
So if I'm not feeling it and you touch me, I'm gonna feel it again. But I can be in the moment or mood where I'm just kind of like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go over here and I'm just gonna watch TV, or I'm gonna go over here, get on the computer, or I'm gonna go over here and I don't know, because I don't do anything else other than those two things. But or I'm a cook or something like that. But so if I pull away in that sense and you choose to come over and walk up behind me and hug me, or to kiss me, or rub my back, or to, grab my hand, because you've done that before. There have been times where I've kind of been in a mood and I just kind of like, you know what, I don't even feel like it. I'm just turned off right now. And you've grabbed my hand and I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, that I'm in the mood again. Like, you just kind of completely just flipped the switch. And what was we arguing about? Why was I upset again? I kind of forgot. Like, yeah. So, like, that's just me. So, yeah, you're right. If I'm not going to deny that, because I do like to be touched and I like to play and I like to quality time and spend time and hug and lay on each other and all of those things. And so, yeah. But when I'm turned off, for the period of time that I'm turned off, it's like, let me just be. And like I said, but it's not that I don't want to be.
But I've never heard you say those words.
Yeah, because you will, other than just now, you probably won't ever, because I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be like, let me just be. I want you to be like, okay, babe, so, are you okay? Did you, take that personal, or, didn't mean to take that personal, or whatever the case may be. And so then I'll be like, oh, okay, you touched me and you came and talked to me. Oh, okay, let me just...
Well, I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you upset? I'm upset too. Be like, wait a minute. Wait, why you just gonna leave me here? Like, come back and like just... Yeah, but I understand, because you're the one who needs your time. You're the more...
I'm a Capricorn, so I need my space. I need to be able to process, and I need to be able to just be alone in silence and not be bothered.
This is true. And I have tried to learn, keyword tried, second keyword in that sentence was learn, to give you your space and your time and give you your time. And I just, want you to learn to give me my time and my attention and my touch. And then we would all be okay. But no, I have, because, literally we would, again, we would not be on the same page, and things would blow up, and you leave and I'm leaving too. I'm leaving right behind you though,
and
to follow.
And he now knows that it's a pet peeve of mine. If I'm saying, okay, I need a minute, and I walk away, do not follow me. Oh my gosh, that gets up under my skin yeah.
But again, we've learned it's about communication. It's about, yes, okay, I want my time. Cool. Excuse me. Have your time, but don't just walk away in the middle of an argument or in the middle of a sentence and go like, I could be saying something,
which
and you're
I
like,
used to do, yes.
In the mid-sentence, you're like, okay, I'm done with this and I'm out. And I'm like, wait, but you got your point across. You gonna let me get my point across, so we can, instead of, saying, you know what, I just can't right now. You said your piece. Cool. Well, just give me a few minutes and we talk about this later, or I just need some time. Yeah. Because before it was kind of like, wait, I'm not finished talking. You just walked away in the middle of me. No, that's not about to happen. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about this now. That was me. I admit that was me. I was not trying to give her time, space, or anything else for that matter when it came to...
And I would just feel like smothered. Like, no, I got to get out.
Yeah, she literally tried to get out like a couple times. No, but okay. So to me, that's back to your original question. That to me that's probably the only turnoff that I can think of. In any of our habits where and that's why I said I don't even know if I want to call that a habit, because we don't make a habit of trying to argue or disagree or not see eye to eye or anything like that. If anything, we try to make in my opinion, we try to make a habit of trying to figure stuff out and resolve things. Maybe not right then and there, or maybe not fully, but we at least try to somewhat say, hey, what's going on, or hey, are you okay, or I need to talk to you right quick or something. So, that's what I said. We try not to make it a habit. So that's why it took me a minute to go, habit? Oh yeah, that too. So that was the whole, oh yeah, that too thing. So.
Well, thank you for sharing.
So again, y'all, that was what I don't like calling it a game, because it's not a game, but that's how, that's the questions and stuff. Just stick around and watch this interview, y'all. I'm done. I'm done. Welcome back, Ty and Cody on Purpose, right here live on Relationship Entertainment Television. And as we promised just a few moments ago, we have another great interview with another fabulous couple that we personally know, and we can't wait to share with you all. Yeah, I'll just leave it there, because this should be a great conversation that we hope that you all will learn a lot more, and even potentially reach out to this couple for what it is that they provide, especially for couples who are in business. So without further ado, or however that phrase goes, further ado, further any do, Scooby-Doo and all the rest of them, we like to introduce to you all the owners of the MarriedPreneur podcast, the MarriedPreneur method. They do a little bit of it all. Yeah. We'll let them tell you more about exactly what they do. But we have Miss Sway and Mr. OL on the line, and we are excited to talk to them today.
Welcome, you all.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you all?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
We're so excited to be with you guys. This is awesome. It's like full circle, and I love it.
Totally.
It is super full circle. So to give a little short background right quick, just so people know exactly who they are, to us anyway, and I'll let them tell you all about themselves. But for those who know, we go through this almost every week of this show. But so the Ty and Cody on Purpose show was a radio show initially for about 4 years. And after 4 years, we decided to take a hiatus from the show. And we were just trying to figure out what were our next steps in business, what were our next steps as a couple, all of those things. And we were following OL and Sway on Instagram for quite some time. And I was like, oh, these are celebrities. And they actually reached out to us. And I was like, oh, babe, a celebrity reached out to us. And they want to know what it is that we do and all sorts of stuff. Because they're like got millions of followers. And like, you're like, oh my gosh, right? So we responded back. And we were telling them pretty much where we were as far as business was concerned. And they were like, hey, we're getting ready to start up, a class and so on and so forth. And we want to introduce you all and, what is, how we can help you all in your business and move forward with the Ty and Cody on Purpose show. And lo and behold, actually working with them, we came up with Relationship Entertainment Television. So what we do today, not just the Ty and Cody on Purpose show, which we're here for today for, but you all know we own and run Relationship Entertainment Television. And they are a big part of how we got to that all together. And so we're just excited, again, to have them here with us. So what have you all been up to? Tell us about yourselves. Yes. So our audience knows who you are.
Wow. First of all, thank you. Thank you for just the opportunity to come and share and to connect and reconnect. I think that's just awesome. We enjoy being family.
Yeah, so we are city dwellers, and so we have this microphone and the window is open. So just in case you hear something, sounds of the city.
Ambient noises.
Ambient noises. Just want to go ahead and put that out there.
Not a problem at all.
So I think they were asking more so about what we're doing as well these days and what's been up. So that's a loaded question in a nutshell. Just to give everybody, I guess, a quick background. We are the hosts of the MarriedPrenuerLife podcast, where we focus on equipping marriedpreneurs to launch, grow, and scale. Usually marriedpreneurs, they'll come to us to sync high-level systems with laser clear strategy to help them build out that big vision that they have inside of their hearts, and to do so peaceably and profitably, in a nutshell. So with that, the MarriedPreneur Life podcast, we also have different ways that we help the marriedpreneurs throughout the year, whether it be through courses, through trainings, we have a Facebook group or Facebook community as well. So we just try to find ways to serve at the highest level possible as best as we can.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we've got separate businesses in addition to that. Mm-hmm. And so you put it all together, that's what we do. And so I have a consultancy working with commercial real estate as well as facilitating home ownership. So I do debt restructuring and so forth. Mm-hmm. And then Sway has a consultancy for creative women in business, helping them to launch, grow, and scale there too.
Yes.
Gotcha. That's super dope. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so basically what we call ourselves, and because we know a lot of other marriedpreneurs are like, well, we do a lot of kind of different things. And so we realized that there are like 3 main categories or 3 marriedpreneur types. Mm-hmm. And I think this helps others identify or self-identify and say, oh, that's us, or oh, that's us. So there is the indiepreneurs, where both couples are building individual businesses, and then there is the spousalpreneur, where one spouse is operating the business while the other is building working the 9 to 5, yes, mm-hmm. And then the couplepreneurs, when they're both working the business together, or a combination
of the 3
of that. Yeah, there's that, because there are a lot of couples who are actually working 9 to 5s, but they are building a business together, or they have individual businesses, but they would still be categorized as couplepreneurs or indiepreneurs.
So there's multiple configurations.
Yes.
Sounds complicated. Sounds like you just got a lot of competition after it all said. I was about to say, obviously, it sounds like us because we've been able to work with you all. So how did you all come together to say, hey, you know what? There's a bunch of couples out there or individuals that are in relationships or in marriages that are doing entrepreneurial work and this, that, and the third. Like, how did you all come together to say, let's start MarriedPreneur Life?
It didn't happen like that.
Yeah. It didn't happen like that.
It didn't come together.
It was really a response to, in a short way of saying it, sort of market demand, but more specifically, mm-hmm. I was working my business helping families in the way of personal finance, and then Sway was working her business, mm-hmm. working with women entrepreneurs, specifically creative entrepreneurs. And so even though we had separate businesses, mm-hmm. and even that has multiple layers to it, but mm-hmm. since we had separate businesses, there was a period where my clients who knew what my wife did would say, hey, is there any way that me and my husband or me and my wife could work with mm-hmm. you and your wife? And then interestingly enough, there were requests coming from her clients mm-hmm. who knew what it was that I did, who would say, hey, my husband and I need to get with you and OL and so forth. And we said no. And we said no multiple times.
We're like, no, we don't do that. I don't even know what you're wanting. They were like, you have systems. And I'm like, the systems that we created for us. Like, we didn't create to say, this is for you. Because I'm like, I don't know what your situation is. And I can't, say that I could fix that. I don't know. And so, but we said no for about a good year or so, I would say. And then finally we were like, is this God? Like, is this? Because it kept coming up and we kept saying no. And we're like, okay.
It just seemed like a sign to do it. And then there was one particular couple who really was the catalyst mm-hmm. for us sort of going out there and doing it. And in one sense, you could say beta testing it, but it was really just a response to help. Yeah. And so they were...
Finally, we said yes to them.
Yep.
And then we said, okay, it's just going to be you. That's it. Like, that's it. They were like, well, if you can just do... we did a VIP day. They wanted a strategy day. So we broke that up into several different days and helped them because they were church planners. And then the wife also was a CPA, so she has her own CPA firm. They had young children. She was homeschooling, and they wanted to do like investment properties, dealing with real estate, and then knowing how to handle her energy. Like, she was like, I'm just spent every single day. Like, there has to be a better way. So, that's how it started. We said, okay, we'll just do a VIP, strategy sessions with you, and that's it, and we'll leave it alone. And one thing led to the next. They shared with other people, and because they were getting results, and then their friends started calling, and
referrals started coming in, and here we are.
Like, what, 8-9 years later. So that's how it came.
How does that mean go? How it started? How it's going?
Exactly.
Right. That's great to hear, though. The demand came to you all, and you all followed suit and created
a resolution for it,
Eventually, we did.
giving you an opportunity. So that's awesome.
Because they always say, when you make plans, God has other plans for you.
Always.
You
Always.
plan to only talk to one couple. And from that one couple, God was like,
I got it.
There
I was
it is.
like, we didn't sign up for this. I just didn't want to be responsible, for stuff like other people's growing their families and legacy. Like I was like, I don't know. I just want to do ours, and then that's all I got. But God was like, no.
Apparently not.
You created this not for you. Actually, you created it to help others.
Well, it is for you, but it's for others as well. So.
Yeah,
exactly. So as you built it, though, so how long did the whole process go from, okay, we're helping this one couple, to now let's help a multitude of couples or a multitude of people who are even in relationships and so forth?
I mean, it would be easy to say that it was in a gradual sense, right? So the snowball started to carry, roll downhill, and then it sort of increased in size, and that would be true. But there was also a period of getting clear, because just because we started doing it doesn't mean we were clear on what we were doing.
We were like, what is this?
And so the clarity came over the course of time, and really taking the experiences that we were having with this couple here and that couple there, and then just even getting out there, right? Just sort of putting ourselves out there and thinking about our own unique challenges as entrepreneurs, and then our own challenges as a married couple, and then how did being entrepreneurs create a unique set of circumstances for married couples. Because it's not like, at the end of the day, I go to my house and then she goes to her house.
Nope.
Like, we're together all of the time. And so when you think of it that way, that creates its own subset of things to work through. So as we started working through that and working with other people, gradually the messaging became clear once it was clear as to what it was that we were doing. Now, that's a very layered thing, too, because there were things that people wanted us to do that we had to be very honest with ourselves and say, you know what, we're not best suited for that. And so even though you may be coming to us for that, we're not the best persons for that. However, on these set of issues as it pertains to you being married, you being entrepreneurs, here's where we're best suited. And so we didn't allow people's liking of us to cause us to play a role that we really weren't suited for. And that took some working through.
Absolutely.
Healthy boundaries for sure.
Absolutely.
Because people try to get you to say, just because they like you, they'll try to get you to do everything. It's
like marriage coaching
whoa.
and marriage counseling. We're like, no.
And that's what I was getting ready to ask, because I'm assuming, obviously we work together and we don't always get along. I'm assuming you work together, you don't always get along.
Right.
Like, was that when people were like, yo, so we work together, we live together, but however, we're not liking each other right now.
Yeah.
So can you help us work through this issue in addition to working through our business? Is that were y'all getting those type of requests?
Well,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a reality, and that exists for married entrepreneurs, but that's not how we build ourselves.
Right.
And so, we were very clear early on about that specific thing. And it was very interesting. I was thinking about this the other day, because out of all the coaches, we are proponents of investing, right? Just to learn, to get clarity faster from somebody else who already has been there. And so out of all the coaches that we've worked with over the years, for the most part, it's like when we explain to them what we do, because it's so different and unique. It's not like we are marriage coaches or we're business coaches. It's like we are business coaches for married entrepreneurs, And so they would often say, well, working through our messaging, well, who are your people and what is the messaging? And I remember one of them saying, well, why don't you just say stop fighting? And I'm like, well, no, we don't want couples who are fight. That's not we don't want to. We don't. And then so sometimes we would test different things, and then we realized we were getting a lot of couples who were like, can you counsel us? Can you I was like, oh, we're saying something wrong. We're saying the wrong thing. We're saying the wrong thing. Yeah, so we had to really get clear for us, because then we also couldn't look to other people to understand what we were doing, because even though we didn't fully know how to articulate it, but we couldn't look to them to tell us what what it is that we're called to do, you know. So we got clear by going the wrong way first. That often helps. I'm like, oh no, I may not know what it is, but I know what it isn't. And
Right.
marriage counseling, coaching, that's not it. Like, that's not where our grace is, and we're okay with that. So we send people now, like when they come to us, we just send them, oftentimes based on what they're dealing with. You know, we'll just be like, we know couples. Y'all are on our roster of couples too. So when we have couples that come and say, oh, we have blended marriage, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Got issues? I got people. Let me send them to you. We don't
And
even.
that's actually, and that's actually one of the things you actually helped us with. We were trying to figure out in which direction we wanted to go. And it was kind of like, well, as you learn, you know, or as you realize this is not what you want to do, then you kind of eliminate those things. And it was kind of like, you know, getting us to be more focused on like you said, doing more stuff with blended families, and then, you know, again, with the Ty and Cody on Purpose show, you know, even focusing on, you know, how we're doing things on purpose and encouraging couples and stuff on purpose. Those are things that you all actually helped us, you know, establish as we worked with you all. So we thank you.
Awesome. That's great.
That's awesome.
Warms our heart, and it helps us to know too. And even now, I didn't think about it at the time, but as people do come, we're able to say, oh, you're having a specific issue with this, right? Oh, we have couples who've already gone through our business training, so we understand their messaging, and so we know where to point them versus everybody saying the same thing, right? Like, everybody has a very unique story, and I think sometimes we overlook our story and try to sound like everyone else, but that's the opposite way to go.
Right.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit more about your podcast. We know you have the MarriedPrenuerLife podcast. What do you actually talk about during your podcast in comparison to, you know, you working with couples, you know, separately or things like that?
Oh, we talk about a lot.
Yeah, we talk about a lot. It's interesting because we, I guess you could say, just hit.
Well, we just recorded.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. Our 200th episode.
Woo!
So that was huge. Thank you.
Sure.
So
That goes live when a couple of months away, but we just recorded it, so we almost there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we've learned a lot about our messaging, our voice, about people, about life, just about a lot of things, right? Because there's things you learn as the world changes and as the world turns. And so over the course of 200 episodes, there's a lot of things that we've learned. So we talk about every aspect that we have experienced and worked through, and things we've learned even from other couples that we've worked with, about what are the challenges, what are the sort of the world around being married entrepreneurs, and really making sure that the content is made to measure for married entrepreneurs. So it's not just a business podcast where you can, you know, drop in and learn, you know, things about entrepreneurship and growing your business, though those components are there. And it's not just about being married, though those components are there, but it's how those two relate to one another and interact with one another. So it's episodes and content that is really dealing with planning and vision and messaging and marketing, and how you two work together, and how you two work together daily, how you two segment your time, how you two don't allow the business to overrun the marriage. All of those components. Who's best suited to do what? Right. So we talk about wealth roles a lot and all those layers to it. And so there's all kinds of things that we have learned over the years that is infused within and informs and influences how we shape the content.
Yeah, and I would say this past year, or this year, new year, 2021, we have been even more intentional about using the podcast as a type of virtual mentor. And how we plan on doing that is like, so we plan out the year as far as the themes per quarter. We plan out our year based on the words or the themes that we feel like we need to work on personally for ourselves, and what that looks like together as a couple. And then what does that look like in business, and then helping other couples as they're building as well too. So we'll have certain themes for each quarter. And then we also created a legacy building tool, a free download, which is our MarriedPreneur checklist, 2021 MarriedPreneur checklist. And so with this checklist, couples can we invite them, encourage them to print it out and go through it together. And it's not just a checklist, it's actually like a resource or an audit, I would say. So they go through a series of questions, about 10 very strategic questions about legacy building, where they are now, where they desire to be with their mindset, with their money, with their marriage, all of these things by the end of the year. And so working through that together is critical. But what we're doing with the podcast is we're actually doing quarterly check-ins concerning that MarriedPreneur checklist throughout the year. So then, like, we're about to, based on when we're recording this, we'll be able to, at the end of the quarter, people will be able to listen in and then say, oh, okay, yeah, let me go through the checklist to make sure we're doing this. And then we have, the Facebook group where we can continue the conversation and just keep finding ways to be resourceful for them. So awesome. That's been a great addition thus far this year through the podcast, just really being more intentional with that.
Gotcha. So the question I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know. So you're helping all these other couples and you're doing things with entrepreneurs and so forth. What is it like working with each other? I know how we are, but what is it like working with each other?
I mean, that's obviously a full question.
Loaded.
But I'll answer it in a couple of ways, and I'm probably going to leave something out, but I'll do my best to answer that in a couple of ways. So what is it like? It is like a daily opportunity to grow in your personal character. Because, and I say that very transparently, because a lot of times we think all we have to do is enjoy each other's company. But because we're humans, and human beings by nature are subject to mood, that mood is influenced by all kinds of things. Sometimes it's possible, right, to wake up on the wrong side of the bed, as they say. It is possible to have a text message or an email or a phone call throw your emotions off, and then that dominoes into how you relate to one another or how you work with one another. There's also times where there may be issues that you let fester over the week and haven't dialogued about it, and now you're at a breaking point and it comes out and your spouse is like, wait a minute, where's that coming from? And what does that have to do with the business at hand? right? So there's all of that, and we don't want to act like that doesn't exist, of course. But that's always an opportunity to really talk through and implement systems. And let me say this, a lot of times we think about systems in the way of technologically, or we think about systems in the way of workflow or things like that. But there are also systems that help you, that help us, even in our emotions. And sometimes a system could just be a time of day to debrief.
That's right.
That's a system, right? And so we may say, before the end of business, or as we end business, or as a part of our ending business for the day, let's debrief. And when we say debrief, it's not, oh, I didn't get a response back to that email I sent that earlier. It's, how are you feeling about all the things that we're doing and working on? And sometimes you'll hear stuff that deals with today. Sometimes you hear stuff that may be a concern about the future, or about something that transpired previously.
Like an emotional check-in. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That's definitely important, because when you're working with your spouse, whether it be, like you said earlier, whether it's the indiepreneur, the couplepreneur, or the mixed, preneur, where either one of it's happening, I think it's important you debrief it, and it's helpful to get on the same page.
It is.
Because when you're not on the same page, so much goes wrong. And to put it in, like you said, a process where you get to debrief at the end of the day or at the end of the week or whatever the case may be, it helps you, may not always line up exactly, but it helps you to figure out, where can I fit in to help my spouse out, or where can I fit in so that way we can, know what's going on, or I know not to bother you today because I know you got a bad email,
right.
or I know I said something earlier today that, that may, flick you off. So let me just, step back, or, let me, I may need a listening ear today. So, those type of things, I guess, is where the debriefing comes into play, huh?
Yes. And let me add this too, Ty, if I may. Just because we work together doesn't mean we work in the same room together.
Yeah.
I want to make mention of that because sometimes when you say work together, or when we use that word together, sometimes our minds can, in a very default manner, think, oh, they're in the same room together. Now, I will say,
sitting like this all day.
Exactly.
You don't sit
I
like
will say, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Because I will say this: when we first started working together, we shared an office in our house, and the desks faced one another. And now our configuration, our home configuration, is different. So it's a beautiful thing because we like different work environments. She likes for her work environment to sound like a library, unless she's in a slice of time where she's learning, and then everybody's going to be learning with her because she doesn't use headphones or headbuds, and she pumps the volume, right?
Whereas, I didn't know that bothered you. It sounds like it bothered you.
I never said it bothered me.
No, I just felt like
it's an observation.
It's an observation because I was doing that today, and he came in from the other room, like the room.
I was in the kitchen.
Oh, you were in the kitchen.
And then you came in.
No. I'm talking about when I was sitting here and listening, and he comes through like there's a bedroom on the other side, then there's like a bathroom, and then we're like in the library area, and so he comes through and he's like, "That's right. That's what he said on there. That's right." And I was like,
because what she was listening to,
and I was like,
the dude was on point.
He came here like hype, like that's right.
The training she was taking, the trainer was saying something that was so spot on. I heard it from the other room. So
I was that loud.
So
I didn't get into it.
It was straight up on point. But earlier, I was making coffee, listening to a business podcast about real estate. She's doing training. She brings her laptop in, and it's like my podcast is battling with her laptop.
I'm sorry.
And I was like, you know what? As soon as I stir this creamer, I'm out of here.
Either I gotta go or you gotta go. I'm gonna go.
Oh, goodness.
But it was funny though.
That's hilarious.
I was in there trying to make us lunch. That's why I went to the kitchen to make us lunch. So
right.
I figured he would be like, okay, she's making us lunch. So
I did.
I'll just fall back and, let her cook some food.
That's why I poured that hazelnut and that dark roast. I stirred and I chunked the deuces.
I feel your pain.
I do. Yeah, I do listen to stuff sometimes as well. So I completely understand. Without headphones, but I try to keep it, because we sit side by side and we work together.
But I say that to say I like to work to music.
Okay.
And so I like to have like coffee jazz and bossa nova playing while I'm working, and that stimulates me. Plus, when I work, especially if I'm doing like phone calls and things, I'm a walker. So I walk the whole house.
This one right here,
Gotcha.
he come all in my space.
I can't be on the phone and sit still.
And it's quiet where I am. It's if I'm not learning something, it's quiet and I like it. Like, okay, this is nice and serene. He comes in, yeah, man. So okay, this is what we're gonna do.
You need to get a sign that says "Do not disturb" or on a call or
and
something.
I'm like, is everything okay? He was like, yeah, I'm just doing some business. I'm like, why are you coming all the way on this side of the house? Like, I don't even understand. You have to come over here.
When I worked in banking, I would close my door, and
get real live.
Half of from the waist all the way to the ceiling, our offices were glass, and I was never sitting down. I was always moving circles. I do laps, but I do business.
You just have to sit.
Exactly. He made sure he wore a hole in the carpet walking back and forth. So last quick question before we get into something fun right quick. So I know and this may be how you all come up with it, the walking back and forth, the being in other rooms, but on your Instagram and even on your Facebook, I noticed you all do a lot of funny videos. They always have messaging to them.
Really?
But, yeah, they're funny to me, but they always have messaging to them. How do you all come up with those videos to like, is that a thing of like he walks in the room one day and you're like, you know what, you've been walking, maybe we should do, or I see you are dancing and like, I know you all love to dance, but like, how do you all come up with these videos, with these ideas with, your TikToks or your, all of those.
Reels and whatnot. Well, I think
a lot of it's you.
Yeah, but I do a lot of the content creation for that. But I think it's just like real life. We like reenact like real life, and then
so there's an impromptu element.
Yeah, like for example, you just gave me a trigger. Like, that would be a funny video. Or talk about different spouses, like how we work differently, and just show that like that's real.
Yeah.
And just being able to say, oh, what if I'm just in here just all quiet, and then he comes through, and we have somebody recorded, but I'll be the one right here, and then we would just have to play around with the phone situation, and then like show like this is real life. How do you deal with this? Really is what makes it work, or not is how you deal with it. But something like that could be 15-30 second reel, just showing that truth. So I just like to imitate life, like real things that happen to us and lessons that we learn or that we're learning, and be like, ooh, we should talk about this. Or especially the podcast, that's going to be a big idea generator for us based on what we're talking about. We'll do reels around that as well too. And of course, being that we do enjoy dancing, no cameras on at all, we do that anyway. And we'll just like, well, what if we just use this to teach a lesson? So
yeah, I think it's a blend of not taking yourself too serious with a sprinkle of serious.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. Well, we always end our interviews with something fun, because we always talk about serious stuff all the time, marriages and all that good stuff, and blended families and business. But we always like to end with something fun, where it's kind of sort of a like, would you rather, what would you do? There's no right or wrong answers or any of these. There's like 4 or 5 of them that we'll go through, and it's just whatever comes off the top of your head is your answer.
Right.
So, Cody?
So you each will answer separately, and these are just fun questions for married couples about random things. So the topics are just complete random. So what would be your dream vacation, Sway?
My dream vacation, wow, it would be on a beach somewhere. Definitely overseas, I would say. It doesn't have to be, but I would like to do overseas just to experience other cultures. And only cooking if I desire to and have the energy, and having a chef cook the native food or go get it for us.
Yes.
Yes.
It would like to have the chef also teach us like some native dishes as well. I think that'll be fun. I think we will both like that. And definitely a lot of documenting, even though it's not like it's documenting for memories and for just like recreating and just like having something to think back on. I think that would be a great time. Doing some activities, maybe not too much though, because between the two of us, I can be more active sometimes, and like vice versa. I wouldn't want to do it by myself. So,
well,
yeah, it would be mountain cabin, pancakes, turkey bacon, fire, red wine.
What's the temperature outside?
It would probably be very orange, a lot of leaves on the ground, so it's definitely fall.
Okay.
Fall is my favorite.
Love that.
Interesting, they're two different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the strangest skill you would most like to learn, OL? It doesn't have to necessarily have to be strange, but just a skill set that you would like to learn.
Origami.
Interesting. I would have never expected that. Okay, yeah, that's pretty dope. Okay.
Sway?
I think it would be cool to learn fencing.
Like the fencing,
That would be cool. I can see that.
That would be kind of dope because I don't know nobody who does it, and I don't.
Gotcha. And being a former dancer, I guess that would play into what it is that you use. Yeah, I guess that would play into your footwork with being a dancer.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay. Last one. If you had to live in another country, which one would you pick and why?
You're thinking.
Who goes first?
I'll go
Whichever.
first. So I would have answered this differently maybe 2 years ago. I would say, whoa.
You don't know.
It would be a toss up.
Between.
Okay.
I don't think we would get a hoot out of this. It would be a toss up between Africa and New Zealand.
Okay.
Okay.
We did have a good time in New Zealand. It is a beautiful country.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like
a couple years ago I would have said Spain, and you already know that.
Spain is dope. Spain is dope. That food, that paella. Ooh.
I'm telling you.
I mean, Spain is dope. The culture, the people, the whole 2-hour naps
in the
middle of the day.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, and I think I'll say this still, it would likely be Joburg or South Africa or Ghana. Now, I haven't been to Ghana.
I knew you were going to say Ghana. I was going to say Accra. I was going to say Accra.
Yeah. I think just going back to my roots and being just learning to be with the people and
would you suck your teeth after every statement?
Like, really?
I mean, maybe I do that now anyway sometimes.
Have you done the whole African ancestry thing or traced your roots? Or
my mom did, so that's why her hubby live in
West Africa,
the Gambia. So she did it, and so my mom's side. So I would need to do it to for both of my parents' sides, but yeah. So those people that she works with, like the people, she is the people. Like they look alike. Like they look more like than we look alike. Like I said, those are your people, Mama. The high cheekbones, and she's dark chocolate with tiny, like tight eyes and a pointy nose and big smile. Like they all look alike.
Wow, that's exciting.
That is super dope.
So she's helping them now by fighting sex trafficking. So she wants to go back to help her people. So I was like, okay, yeah, I think I would want to do something like that to go back to at least the motherland, and live. I think that would be cool.
Cool beans. Well, we appreciate y'all for joining us here on the Ty and Cody on Purpose show. But before we let you leave, you have to tell our viewing audience, how can they get in contact with you, your social media, your website, all of those good things, especially those who are in business, who would love to reach out to you all as a couple and say, hey, how can we work with OL and Sway in the MarriedPreneur way and life and all of that good stuff? How can people get in contact with you?
Awesome. Well, sure. The best way would be on social is MarriedPrenuerLife, married with the D, Preneur as an entrepreneur life. And then our website is MarriedPrenuerLife.com. So on the website, it has all the things for the podcast. You can connect there, which you can listen to on your favorite listening platform. And of course, staying connected with the different, we have different offers and trainings on the website there, different downloads we spoke about earlier, the legacy building tool, the checklist, we have an assessment, like it's all the things right there on the website. So, and definitely connect with us on IG, Facebook, and MarriedPreneur Life.
Cool beans. We are excited for everything that you all are doing. We are appreciative for working with us personally and helping us get us started and even checking up on us as well later down the line. We appreciate for all that you are doing. We are hoping our viewing audience, especially those who are married or together and wanting to figure out how to work together in business and figure out those processes and those steps to success and a profitable success that she mentioned earlier. Not just success, but a profitable success. We hope that you all will reach out to them and become family with them like they've become with us. OL and Sway, we appreciate you all. We thank you all for being here. And as we always say, we like to live purposefully
and love purposefully.
Ty and Cody on Purpose. Peace.